Hello and welcome to Rando Tech Info. So today we're talking about Google's latest flagshipish phones, the Google Pixel 5 and 4a 5G. And in looking over the specs of both of these phones, they have a lot more in common than they don't have in common. One big difference you will notice right off the jump is the price. The Pixel 5 is almost $700, while the 4a 5G is only around $500. Color-wise, they both come in black, while the 5 comes in this nifty little mint green color, while the 4a 5G only comes in white as its second color. The screens are very similar, with the 4a 5G being slightly larger at 6.2 inches, where the 5 screen is only 6 inches. The other main difference in the screens is the 5 does have a high refresh rate, where the 4a 5G does not. The 5 does have a slight edge in battery size. It also has fast wireless charging, where the 4a 5G does not. The 5 also packs a glass back, whereas the 4a 5G has a polycarbonate unibody, which is basically tech speak for plastic. Storage-wise, they both have 128 gigs of storage, although with memory you do get a couple more gigs with the 5. They both have Titan M security modules. They both have the same exact Snapdragon 765G processors. Their camera setups are completely identical. Their camera features are exactly the same. And finally, the only real difference between them is the 4a 5G has a headphone jack, where the 5 does not. So when I first looked at these two devices, I had a hard time thinking about how Google was going to justify charging $500 more for the 5 than the 4a 5G. As I said before, they're very similar right down to their camera setups, which use exactly the same hardware and have the exact same camera features. As far as I can tell, the only actual differences between these phones, besides the slightly larger screen size of the 4a 5G, is that the 5 has wireless charging, it has an IP rating, it has slightly more RAM, and probably the biggest difference between the two is it does have a high refresh rate. Although, to kind of counter out that, the 4a 5G does have a headphone jack, where the 5 does not. So I guess what it comes down to at the end of the day is the 5 worth $200 more for those few extra features that it has. Like I said, the biggest feature is probably the high refresh rate. That's probably going to get the most people to get it over the 4a 5G, but at the end of the day, it's up to you whether it's worth that $200 difference or not. Finally, a couple other things to consider if you really are interested in the Pixel 5. There are a couple other phones that are either in this market or are coming to this market very soon that you should probably also be considering. The first one being the Samsung S20 Fan Edition. That phone just recently came out for $700, and it has a flagship level processor in it. It has a Snapdragon 865 processor in it. Now, your processor that's in your phone might not matter that much to you. You might be more inclined to get the Pixel phone because of Google's photography wizardry and AI that they pack into their devices, and that's fine. But it is another phone to consider. The other phone worth considering is the OnePlus 8T, which is supposed to be coming out very soon. That phone is also rumored to be coming out for about $700 or $750. It also has flagship level specs. So there is some competition at this price point that Google has decided to place the Pixel 5 in. We'll see if it pays off for them and if it's still a compelling decision for enough people to make this a viable option. Finally, as far as availability of both of these items are concerned, you will be able to get them both on Google's own online store as well as through Verizon and AT&T. The 5 is available for pre-order now, and it has an October 15th release date. The 4a 5G, there is no pre-ordering right now. You'll have to get on a waiting list, and that phone is supposed to arrive sometime in November. So I guess if you're impatient, you might also want to pay the extra money for the 5 and maybe pick that one up a little bit sooner. So will both of these phones work on all US carriers? Let's start with the easy one first, the Pixel 5. So the answer is yes. Yeah, it really is that simple. This phone actually has more frequency band coverage than just about any other phone I've ever seen. All 5G bands here in the US are covered, all 4G bands here in the US are covered. So regardless of your carrier, you should be in good shape coverage-wise with this device. So the story with the 4a 5G is a little bit more complicated. So if you go out to the Google website, there's actually two models of this phone. Now, the first thing you need to understand is both models have full 4G coverage, so you're covered there. They also have full 5G low band coverage. So the low band 5G you're good to go on both devices. What's different between them is one of them has millimeter wave 5G coverage technology and the other one has mid-band 5G coverage technology. So my thought is that Verizon will probably be selling the millimeter wave version of this phone. We've seen that before with other devices that utilize their millimeter wave 5G, and I assume that the other version of the phone will be sold everywhere else. That's just a guess. This isn't something I would worry too much about. I'm sure wherever you buy the phone, you will probably be given the right version of the phone, but it is something I wanted to make you aware of. I would definitely say if you're wanting millimeter wave 5G out of the 4A 5G, you will probably want to purchase the phone directly through Verizon because that's probably the version of the phone that they'll be selling specifically. So that's all the useful information I have today about the new Pixel phones here in 2020. What are your thoughts on these phones? Are you thinking about picking one up? Let me know down in the comments. As always, I hope you found this video useful. Thanks for watching, and until next time, this is Rando Tech Info signing out.